What's going on, investors? My name's Emmanuel, and in this video I'll be answering all of your ChargePoint related questions, such as when will the ChargePoint SBE merger be taking place? Is it even possible? Is it even a possibility that the merger falls through and is unsuccessful? And what do I think will happen to the share price if that was to occur? Another question I've received is, what would be the new name for ChargePoint if the merger is successful? Who are ChargePoint's biggest competitors? Do I think it's too late to buy ChargePoint at these evaluations? And lastly, what are my price predictions for this stock? Now, you guys have been hitting me up with some fantastic questions on my Instagram. You've been sliding in the DMs. You've hit me up on Twitter and even in the comment section of my last ChargePoint video. So I just want to say thank you for sending them through. Thank you for the engagement. The links to my socials are in the description below. So if after this video you still have any ChargePoint related questions or any stock that I cover on this channel, then hit me up on those platforms and I'll do my very best to respond. But right before we jump into it, don't forget to destroy that like button. It lets me know that you enjoy this type of content. And if you are new to the channel, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with my latest stock analysis content, all the stocks that I buy, that I sell, and all the stocks that are on my watch list. Oh, and by the end of this video, I do have a special announcement to make. So make sure you watch till the end so you don't miss out on that announcement. But with all that said, let's jump into the video. So, when will the merger actually be taking place? And for those who may be unaware, it's important to know that if you decide to invest in SwitchBack Energy Acquisitions, ticker symbol is SBE, you're effectively a SwitchBack Energy Acquisitions shareholder, which is pretty much just a shell company. It's a blank company that has no revenues, no earnings, no operations, nothing. Just assets on their balance sheet. You technically haven't invested in ChargePoint quite yet. So that essentially means if the merger between ChargePoint and SBE is unsuccessful, and we'll go into some of the reasons as to why that might be the case, you could be at the risk of holding on to shares of a blank, empty company. Which is why this question is extremely important. Now, on SBE's website, they issued a press release a few weeks ago, which provided a summary that outlined the terms required for a successful merger between the two companies, as well as an expected timeline. So, the press release says, the board of directors of both SwitchBack and ChargePoint have unanimously approved the proposed transaction. The closing is subject to the approval of ChargePoint's stockholders and SwitchBack's stockholders. So it's important that you make note of this. They've separated the two, and I'll go into further detail later on in the video. And other customary closing conditions, including SwitchBack's registration statement being declared effective by the SEC, the Securities and the Exchange Commission, and the expiration of the HSR Act's waiting period. It is currently anticipated that the transaction will close, assuming satisfaction of such closing conditions by the end of the fourth quarter of 2020. Now, we know the end of the fourth quarter will be sometime in December. So it could literally be announced anytime from now till then. And that's partly why the stock has run up crazy last week, and also pre-market, it's doing craziness right now. So definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled for the announcement, or you could just simply smash the subscribe button, because I will be bringing you the news immediately once I hear it announced. Now, that's a great segue into the second question. Is it possible that the merger doesn't go through or isn't successful? And the honest answer to the question is, it's absolutely more than possible. It's absolutely more than possible that the merger doesn't go through. And I can tell you, if that were to happen, oh boy, the share price would absolutely tank. It will fall off a cliff, because remember, owning shares of SBE, like I've explained, is owning shares of a blank company that has no operations. So what are some of the scenarios where the merger could actually fall through? Let me give you an example. So let's say, for example, the merger doesn't secure enough backings from shareholders of SBE. You know, maybe the majority of SBE shareholders don't agree with or even like ChargePoint, or maybe they feel like the business ChargePoint isn't a good fit. Well, they can simply choose to oppose the merger, simply by them deciding not to register to cast their vote in favor of the merger. And if there isn't enough support for the merger, then of course the merger could fall through. Also, if you take a look at the investor presentation, there are already existing ChargePoint shareholders. So these are investors who may have invested years ago. Remember, ChargePoint is by no means a new company. So they do already have private investors in place. Now, it is also possible that these existing ChargePoint shareholders might not like the idea of SBE shareholders jumping on board and merging, because that would ultimately mean they're diluting their own shares. So it is well within their right to oppose the merger, and as a result, the merger could be unsuccessful. And it is also possible that the merger could be delayed, or it may be SBE or ChargePoint shareholders ask for an extension. And this scenario actually happened with Tattooed Chef and FMCI a few months ago. And when that happened, and when the delay was announced, the share price tanked over 13% in just a single day. The SEC could also flat out refuse the merger if they feel the registration statement isn't effective or satisfactory. So it's more than possible, and there's a number of scenarios whereby this merger could actually be unsuccessful. And this is one of the biggest risks that we face being investors in SBE. So hopefully I haven't scared you out of investing. I'm just giving you the real cold truths. This scenario is possible, and this is precisely why some investors have decided to wait until the merger is complete. Let it be a done deal, let the hype die down a bit before they decide to invest. And that's also partly why I didn't go all in and load up on some shares. I took a more conservative approach. So this is a great segue into the next question. What will the new name for ChargePoint be if the merger is successful? Now, according to the guys over at TechCrunch, who wrote a really interesting article regarding ChargePoint, they said the combined company will be named ChargePoint Holdings Inc. and will be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, which is the NYSE. So that's what the newly merged company will be called. Not necessarily a huge fan, but hey.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, so the next question. Who are ChargePoint's biggest competitors? The answer to this question, I think, will vary depending on where you live. But in the UK right now, Tesla occupies the #1 spot with their superchargers. And in second place, you have InstaVolt, which is supplied by ChargePoint. And I did cover that partnership in my previous video, so if you haven't checked that out quite yet, the links are in the description below. Then you have another company called ChargePlace Scotland, which is actually Scottish government run and supplied. Then you have Shell Recharge. Again, we discussed Shell's New Motion campaign in my previous ChargePoint videos. PodPoint, which they are currently supplying Tesco's, Lidl's, Sainsbury's, which for my US audience, if you're not familiar with those names, they are the UK's versions of Walmart. We also have Polar. Now this is owned by BP and they have 7,000 units. We have Engini. They are also a British firm with plans to install 2,000 units by 2024. Again, they have a lot of catching up to do because ChargePoint has over 118,000 ChargePoint networks. And then lastly, you have Genie Point, which is a British firm, which is a British firm now owned by a French firm, and they have plans to install 4,000 charging points. So these are the biggest UK competitors right now. I know that you have Blink Charging, which is another big name, which is a big player in the US. But again, from what I've read in their recent filings, they only have 24,000 charging stations. And not all of these 24,000 are actually networked. Plus, Blink is not even close to ChargePoint when it comes to the amount of partners that ChargePoint have already secured. And remember, a majority of these partners are large blue chip companies. So personally, I don't see Blink as a big competitor at this stage. I mean, it could grow to become a huge one, but right now, I don't. So now, the next question, do I think it's too late to buy ChargePoint at these valuations? And for this, I'm going to quote Warren Buffett. And he said, if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the premise for this question in the first place, because even if you want to buy and hold a stock for the next 10 years, in the short term, you still want to be able to get it at a bit of a discount. I mean, I'm very similar. I don't like buying at the top. Even if the company has the most amazing amounts of potential, it has huge growth ahead of it, I still want a bit of a discount, and I'm just like that naturally. I want a 10% or 20% discount. Now, this is probably not the best mindset or maybe even the best approach to have with investing, but I have found that thinking this way prevents me from suffering from FOMO, the fear of missing out. The way I see it is that if I'm always prepared to wait for at least a 10 or 20% pullback, I automatically know that FOMO isn't influencing my buying decisions. But here's what I will say. if you believe in the future growth of this company, especially in the long term, and you're comfortable buying at these current valuations at these prices, and also if you don't mind dollar cost averaging lower if the price actually does decline, then you've pretty much answered your own question. So the last question is, what are my price predictions for this stock? So I initially bought in at $17 a share, and the next day the price absolutely ran up to $20 a share. So I waited for a pullback and I bought even more, and my average price is just $18 and some change, which isn't the best, but to be honest, I am fine with that entry price. And I had initial price targets of $20, maybe $22 as we draw closer to the merger. But with the signs that we saw last week and also so far pre-market, this stock could probably run all the way to $40 on just the hype. Maybe even perhaps $45. Because right now, word is getting out about ChargePoint, and now you have short-term investors and you have traders who are trying to ride the wave up to the merger announcement date. And then once the merger has announced, I'm sure traders will do what they do best and they'll get rid of their positions, because remember, they're not in it for the long term. So the way they do that, of course, is by selling their shares. And that selling pressure could cause the price of ChargePoint to crash back into maybe the $19, $18, maybe even $17, which again is creating even more buying opportunities for us who are bullish on the long term. So that's what I think will probably happen, the buy the rumor, sell the news. And then I'll be loading up even more post-merger, and I'll be keeping you guys updated on my Instagram and also on my Twitter. But let me know what you're planning to do. Have you already bought in? Are you happy with your position? Do you wish that you bought more? Do you wish that you sold your house and just loaded all up in ChargePoint? Will you be buying post-merger? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section below. But with all that said, please make sure you do your own due diligence and your own analysis before you decide to invest in any stock or in any company. Remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please view my content as purely educational and not investing advice. If you do want to learn about investing in stocks, there are some useful links in the description below, including some books that I highly recommend, so definitely check that out. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to see more content from me. Thank you I almost forgot the announcement. So the announcement is, as soon as we cross 5,000 subscribers, I will be launching my own Discord group. Yes, it's going to happen. I've had so many requests for a Discord group, and you know what? It's time to make it happen. So once I get it all set up, I will let you guys know. I just like the idea of like-minded investors being in one place, sharing ideas, bouncing ideas off each other, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if we do get this right, then we all win. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what it is. That's why I'm creating a Discord group. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.